Hi guys, welcome to my weekly vlog of learning to day trade penny stocks. In today's video, I'm going to share how and why I adapted my usual trading strategy, which resulted in a 26% gain. So the market is changing from week to week, day to day, different setups are in play. So it's really important to identify what setups are working so you know which tickers to trade. So I'm going to break down the chart, let's go. So the ticker that we're going to look at today is QUCY for a day 2 move. So if you follow my channel, you'll know that my usual setup is a first green day bounce, which is when the stock's had a big run up, a nice retracement, and I'm trying to play it for a bounce. However, that hasn't been setting up recently. What has been working is day 2 and day 3 moves. If you watched my video last week, that was all about day 2 moves as well. So it's been a setup that's in play for the last couple of weeks or so. So that's why I pivoted to try and trade more day 2s at the moment. So if we take a look at TDIC, this was my basis for taking QUCY. And not just TDIC, because there's been so many day 2 moves over the last couple of weeks. But this one occurred the day before I traded QUCY. So this is TDIC's day 1, where it's gone from around 99 cents up to highs of 289. It's done 121 mil in volume, and then it's had a massive day 2 move. So if we go to its intraday chart, this is its day 1, big spike after hours. This white line is its day 1 high of day. And then if we see on market open, just here on its day 2, it's held just above day 1's high of day. You could have used day 1's high of day to risk off, and then it's had this massive surge. And this was actually on my radar, and such a weird reason I didn't take this stock was because it looked almost too perfect, which is so stupid. I just thought it was too obvious, which is ridiculous, because I know that this is exactly where you enter and risk off. But for some reason, I don't know. Don't ask me why I didn't take this trade. But anyway, that had a massive bounce, as you can see. Huge. So the next day, I'm looking at QUCY, which has had a day 1 move here on high volume, 500 mil in volume, pretty massive. And then it's setting up exactly the same way as TDIC. So I was looking at this pre-market, and it was holding above the day 1's close, which is also an area of interest. And I almost considered taking it here, but I doubted myself and I didn't, because it was so early on in pre-market. But if you see here, that would have been a really nice quick trade there. So then what I did, I knew I wanted to trade this stock, as it was bopping around the high of day from day 1. I got chopped up a bit here trying to take it off that area, when really I feel I should be, once it's had this surge, I should be waiting until market open just to see how it sets up from past experience. So yeah, definitely took it too many times here, getting chopped up on this white line, which was my risk. But I still wanted to trade it, so I waited till market open, and then can see it came down exactly to day 1's high of day, so exactly the same as TDIC. So that was my entry, so I got in at just under 1.66, and then sold along the way. My best sell was 286, I think. Definitely left money on the table, and I think it was around a 26% gain on that ticker. So just a good example of seeing what's working in the market. The fact that TDIC did the massive day 2 bounce off its day 1 high. The next day, there's a ticker that's doing exactly the same thing. So annoyed that I got chopped up. I didn't trade it particularly well initially, but nailed the entry in the end. But yeah, just got to get a little bit better at being more patient with this kind of a setup. So we'll look at another trade I took this week, which was DXF. Again, I've pivoted away from the first green day bounce onto these continuations. So this wasn't a day 2 move, this was actually a day 3 move. And the reason I took this trade was, A, as well as day 2 bounces and day 3 continuations being in play, Chinese tickers have been the one over the last week or week and a half. So TDIC was a Chinese ticker, DXF was a Chinese ticker as well, and there's been so many others that have been running. And this moved in sympathy to TDIC. So TDIC had that massive day 2 bounce. On that same day, after hours, DXF suddenly popped off from this dollar area. I did think about taking it here after hours, but chickened out. And then it had a massive bounce up to 238. And that was very much moving because TDIC moved. So I'm looking at this the next day, and all it's done after hours and pre-market is have this retracement here. And so I know that Chinese tickers are in play, and I know this moved in sympathy to TDIC, and I know that stocks are pushing on day 2 and day 3. So again, this is something I want to trade, and it's had a really nice retracement where there's so much range for this to move into. Again, I didn't trade this particularly well initially on pre-market. I was just trading weird areas. I thought I could sort of see like a downtrend and a break of downtrend, but it wasn't. And again, my experience is telling me I need to wait for market open on these. So I didn't let taking it and getting stopped out here put me off. I still knew that there was potentially a trade in this if it's set up correctly. And the real area I wanted to look at of interest was the pre-market low and potentially the dollar area, but I didn't think it would come all the way back down to $1. I felt the retracement would be too large if it came all the way back down. So it broke down the pre-market low, and now I'm looking for a reclaim of that pre-market low. So I did take an entry here, and obviously it broke that risk, so I had to cut. And then this area was still acting as resistance, and then I took a second entry here where it a bit more convincingly broke out of the pre-market low. So I managed to get in at 1.28 and then just sold along the way. So my best sell was 1.95, and I took an overall gain of I think 27% on this one. So definitely sold out, too soon, but I think it's because it's not my usual setup. But again, another example of trading what setup is in play that week or that day. Still need to get better at the overtrading, but I'm still pleased with my thesis and analysis. I am sort of in the right area. I just need to fine tune my entry a bit better. And I'll be looking at this kind of setup next week if it continues, but chances are it'll probably pivot and something else will be in play. So just need to be aware of that as well. So if you can identify what setup is currently working in the market and you know how to trade it, then that's where real edge comes in. So although I had a nice trade or a couple of trades this week, it was a break-even week for me, which is fine. It's all part of the process, and I'm still happy with my read on the market. Just got to get better with just being more choosy about the setups that I take and just waiting for those A+ setups. So thanks for watching, and catch you next Sunday.